Once upon a time, in a bustling city, lived a spirited young boy named Eli. At only 12 years old, he was as curious as he was tenacious, thriving in the heart of a bustling, working-class neighborhood. High-rise apartments framed the bustling streets, and the smell of street food filled the air. Eli shared a cramped studio with his parents. The walls of the studio, which had seen better days, bore witness to their struggles and dreams. His father, a dedicated but weary tiler, spent his days on various construction sites, while his mother, though often sickly, managed to keep their home warm and loving. Despite his tender age, Eli preferred the company of his father on the building sites rather than the confinement of his school. He loved the sense of accomplishment he felt when he saw a house transformed under his father's skilled hands. He yearned for the day when he could make such a difference himself. One day, as he was helping his father, a thought nestled into his mind, a dream. He wanted to buy an apartment for his family, an apartment with enough rooms where his mother could rest properly, a place that they could call their own. Eli knew it was a tall order. They were a family of modest means, after all. But Eli had always been one to chase dreams, and this time, it was no different. While his friends played after school, Eli would wander around the neighborhood, his heart set on his newfound ambition. As he watched the old buildings with their peeling paint and heard his parents worrying about bills, his dream only grew stronger. Yet, life had a knack for throwing hurdles on the path of our dreams. It wasn't long before Eli's dream faced its first challenge. His father's boss was struggling to find houses to renovate, and as a result, his father was getting less work. The income, already modest, began dwindling further, stirring up a storm of worries in Eli's young heart. But every cloud has a silver lining, and in Eli's case, this setback was going to set the stage for his entrepreneurial journey. Unbeknownst to him, the wheels of destiny were already turning, setting the path for Eli's entrepreneurial journey, where he would face challenges, experience disappointments, but through it all, would keep the flame of his dream alive. Not one to sit idle, Eli decided to act. He had an idea that seemed simple enough. Why not find the clients himself? Why not propose to the neighbors he crossed paths with every day that his father could renovate their homes, lay new tiles, give their floors a fresh, new look? Filled with determination, Eli spent the next few days visiting his neighbors, offering them his father's services. Each day after school, Eli knocked on doors, brimming with optimism. His youthful energy was infectious, his proposition promising. However, despite his sincere efforts, his rough exterior and informal speech made the residents wary. The neighbors thanked him for his time but declined his offer, one after the other. Some were polite, some were curt, and some were downright rude. Eli's determination started to waver. His dream seemed to be drifting farther away with each rejection. The whispers of doubt became louder, and the flame of hope began to flicker. His heart was heavy as he walked home one day, contemplating giving up his ambitious project. Seeing her son downcast, Eli's mother gently asked him what was wrong. Eli confessed his frustration, his discouragement at the lack of progress. His mother listened, her eyes filled with understanding and empathy. "Eli," she said, her voice soft yet firm, "you can't control how people respond. But you can control how you present yourself." Eli pondered over his mother's words. He thought back to the interactions he had with his neighbors. He began to realize that his casual attire and unrefined language could be affecting his credibility. The realization sparked an idea. He had often observed the way the real estate agents and the supermarket salesmen dressed up neatly and spoke so eloquently. Eli decided it was time for him to learn from them. Eli decided to change his approach. He spent his evenings watching interviews of successful businessmen on television, picking up their mannerisms, their way of talking. He took note of how they dressed, how they carried themselves, how they presented their ideas. He practiced speaking clearly and confidently, polishing his language, his pitch, his approach. And when he was ready, he decided to give his project another try. This time, Eli made sure he looked presentable. He put on his best clothes, combed his hair neatly, and wore a warm, determined smile. He had prepared a compelling speech about the advantages of having a house renovated and the quality of his father's work. He was no longer just a boy proposing an idea. He was an aspiring entrepreneur, armed with determination, a well-thought-out plan, and an unyielding dream. One by one, he revisited the neighbors who had rejected him earlier. His renewed confidence, polished speech, and compelling proposition left the residents surprised. Eli was no longer the rough, informal boy they had met earlier. He was a persuasive young man proposing a beneficial service. However, changing perceptions was not an overnight task. Eli faced rejections again, but this time he was not disheartened. He knew that every no was bringing him closer to a yes. He believed in his dream, in his capability, and most importantly, in the value he was offering. And just as he had hoped, the tide began to turn. One sunny afternoon, Eli approached Mrs. Baker, an elderly neighbor living in a house that had seen better days. He was dressed neatly, his eyes shining with determination, his speech clear and convincing. His presentation was compelling, and for the first time, a neighbor agreed to his proposal. Mrs. Baker's acceptance was the breakthrough Eli had been waiting for. His father worked diligently, transforming Mrs. Baker's home, breathing new life into it. The transformation was so spectacular that it caught the attention of the rest of the neighbors. Word spread in the neighborhood about the young entrepreneur and his father's exceptional tiling skills. One client led to another, and soon Eli's father had more work than he could handle. They were working directly with the clients, and with each successful project, their reputation grew. The money began to pour in, and for the first time, Eli saw his dream within reach. He watched as the neighborhood transformed under his father's skilled hands, and with each passing day, his dream of buying an apartment for his family became more tangible. A few years later, after countless presentations, dozens of rejections, and a relentless pursuit of his dream, Eli finally did it. He had saved enough money to buy an apartment for his family. It was a modest place, but it was theirs. His mother had a comfortable room, his father had a workshop, and Eli had a space to dream even bigger. The experience had changed Eli. He was no longer just a boy with a dream. He had become a successful young entrepreneur, a source of inspiration for his peers, and a beacon of hope for his family. He had learned the value of presentation, the importance of perseverance, and the power of self-belief. Eli's journey was a testament to the idea that no dream is too big if one is willing to work for it. His story was not just about the transformation of a neighborhood or the fulfillment of a dream. It was about the making of a young entrepreneur who dared to dream big, worked hard, and changed his world one tile at a time.